Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast pub chat. Yeah, we're back at it again. It's running a little bit late. You've heard the excuses. We're busy. It's exhausting.
We're doing our best.
Doing the things that we're doing, and we're only just now starting to get into a place where we're having a little bit more time because I'm reducing my regular work hours enough, and but of course on the other side of that, the shop is becoming incredibly expensive in time. Busy. I don't mean expensive. Busy. So yeah, it's just kind of time management. We're working on it. That stuff happens. But so we're back at it again. I'm John Norgrove. This is Julie Norgrove. This is our pub chat where we just kind of answer a question, tell a little bit of a story, and then address some magic in media. So we're gonna get right into it. Before we do that, though, immediate interruption. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and do all that kind of stuff. Follow us on social media to keep up to date. And, if you want to support us, you can support us through our Etsy shop, where we sell, craft supplies that are hand-dyed, or through Patreon, where the Book of Shadows pages live. Yes, I'm working on those. We are behind. It happens.
Yeah.
So,
just know that we are committed to keeping this going.
It's gonna keep happening.
It's gonna keep happening.
Whether you want it to or not, this is gonna keep happening.
But it might be a little late.
Listen, sometimes you leave your car out a little too long without starting it during the winter time, right? Or if you own an old truck, I own two, and you let it sit for a little too long. Sometimes it just chokes a little bit. It's that fits and starts the first couple of times you turn her back on, but we're tuning it in, man. We're replacing the oils and such, so don't worry about that.
That's a very, very involved comparison.
I guess, not really. If you own an old truck, you very much understand what I'm talking about. So, yeah, bam. I own two. One is older than the other.
It's a little like taking out the trash. You got to do it, and you just kind of go ooh, I need to do that right away. Oh, man. But every time I remember it, there's other stuff that I have to be doing.
Yeah.
Or getting gas. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
anyway,
anywho, let's get right into it. What is our question of the day?
So, our question today is, what is Godspousing? Do you know what that is?
I mean, I could make the assumption that it's some sort of ritualistic marrying to a god, but that's only because spouse and god are in the word. So, what's up? I'm wicked smart, yo. I know words. But in practice, no, I have no flipping clue at all, with the exception of what they do in horror movies where people marry gods. So, it's probably not that, I think, but I don't know.
It's a little bit of both. Yeah, so Godspousing is basically what you think it is. It is sometimes called spirit marriages, and these have actually occurred since ancient times all around the world. And essentially, it's when you take an oath or otherwise consider yourself married to a deity or other spirit or entity.
Yeah. Nuns.
Yeah, that would be a form of Godspousing.
Isn't nuns married to God the thing? I mean, I think that's probably not the real thing, and that's probably just the Hollywood thing.
I only know from the Hollywood perspective.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's the Hollywood thing.
And we know someone who's going to loudly tell us.
If you are or were a nun and you know if nuns vaguely God's spouse, let me know, because I'm pretty certain that's what Hollywood says.
From the Hollywood perspective,
sure, yeah.
Yes, that would be God spousing. Also, that movie, the black and white one, where the lady marries the spirit that's in her house. That would also be considered God spousing or spirit marriages. So it does definitely exist in popular culture, although mostly in the religious form. So essentially, there's not a particular oath that you have to take. It's not
it would be specific to
or
anything.
So you kind of do whatever it is. And depending on the person's preference, the relationship with the spirit might also include sexual acts.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we've all seen what is that? The Iliad? What's the old movie where the lady goes down to the ocean and totally has mad ocean sex with Poseidon? You remember what movie I'm talking about, though, right?
I do,
oh
but
my
I
God,
cannot think of what movie that is.
Is that the old ass Clash of the Titans?
It is not Clash of the Titans. I don't think.
What is that? The Odyssey? Is it the old Odyssey movie?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like a 70s like Greek mythology movie, and the queen or whatever like definitely goes down to the ocean and has sex with Poseidon.
But
ocean
like
style.
he's just the ocean.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's not
She's
like
just,
a dude.
It's just like an actress in the ocean, just like as like the waves are crashing, and like I legit remember the first time I watched the movie just being like, what's this lady doing in the... Oh, I understand what she's doing in the ocean. But, like, yeah, whatever, you know? So, sexy time Godspousing, I guess.
In addition to that, like, the levels of exclusivity might vary also. Some people may Godspouse for... specific lengths of time.
Yeah. What's that classic, like, year and a day?
Yeah. Or, you know, they may choose to do it for life. They may also Godspouse and marry a mortal. So there's a lot of different ways that this can be done. It's something that appears to be becoming more popular when you look at pop culture and witch talk and witchy Instagram. You're starting to see like a lot more of this, and I expect that we will continue to see it as we approach the spoopy season, which we are currently at the beginning of.
Yep.
So that is definitely a thing. And if the question is, how do I Godspouse? That's up to you and the spirit entity that
However
you are
fit.
looking to enter into a relationship with. And if the question is more along the lines of validity, that's for you to work out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways that people do it. There's a lot of different ways that people think it should be done.
Sure.
But this is something that's happened for so long that there's really kind of no right or wrong way.
Yeah, there's
to
no
do
like
it.
hard and fast thing. It's just sort of like it's a thing that exists. That's interesting. I've not seen anything on like Witch Talk or like Witch Instagram about Godspousing, but we get fed like very different things.
Yes, we get fed very different content.
Very different content. even only just within the space of like magical practice and like witchery and such. Very different things. So yeah, that's interesting. What do you think about Godspousing? What's your take on it? And like, I don't know, fun question. If you could or had to Godspouse, which god would you spouse?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, which god would you spouse?
Who would you choose?
Hell? She seems tight. Yeah, right?
I mean, like, gosh, that's a tough one. I already, like, use Aphrodite as my patron goddess, so I'm pretty, like...
Like Aphrodite?
Like Aphrodite, I guess. But also, we've been reading Percy Jackson, and, like, I don't know, Ares is kind of hot.
Yeah,
He's
sure.
got that, like, bad boy biker thing going on.
Sure, yeah, okay. He's kind of a dick in the book. I think you're missing some stuff, but okay, yeah. Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know for Greek gods. I don't even know.
Well, I don't think that you need to necessarily choose one from each
know.
pantheon.
One from every pantheon, like a Noah's Ark of gods.
You know what? I guess like the Dagda, because he's like
the Dagda's tight.
The Dagda's pretty tight. Yeah. He's also fairly well endowed, as the legend goes.
That is what they say. That knows what's going on.
You know, I'm here for that.
Why not, right?
Anyway, tell us who would you
god spouse? And like what do you know about god spousing? What's up with that? And again, the nun thing. Like, is that do they marry God? Is that real, or is that just Hollywood shenanigans? Let me tell you what, Hollywood shenanigans. They get a lot of stuff wrong, but sometimes they get stuff right. So you never know.
Yeah, you never really know.
All right, so next up is story time, and I get to tell a story. And then maybe I didn't practice as much as I should have.
And that I bullet pointed out for him. So I hope you guys enjoy this.
Yeah, she bullet pointed it out.
This particular style of crazy.
It's not at all how I would have bullet pointed it. Like, at all. So this is gonna be an adventure in how Jonathan can remember a thing that he hasn't technically read in, like, a month.
And if y'all enjoy this particular style of crazy, maybe we do it the opposite way next time.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It seems like I have to do work. I don't you know how I feel about that. So this is the story of Thor and Utgarda-Loki. So Utgarda-Loki, like a little bit of pre thing here. So, based on the stuff that I remember reading, like the stuff that I've read about this, like Utgarda-Loki is a giant and is sort of like in a kingly position of giants, but also might just be Loki, and it's all an elaborate ruse. And like the phone game has sort of altered the story just enough that we kind of forgot that Utgarda-Loki was just like one of the many forms that Loki took to be like kingly and jackass to Thor, which, you know, he really loved being an ass to Thor.
Yeah.
It's most of the Thor Loki stories are like Thor's doing a thing. Loki was an ass. Thor has to deal with the ramifications of that.
Which I think is actually kind of hilarious because the Marvel movies make them brothers.
It's exactly why the Marvel movies make them brothers, is because they have like a very brotherly, like, I'm gonna get you sort of a thing, even though technically Loki is the like sworn brother of Odin, in the proper Norse mythology. So for this, Utgarda-Loki, different person, just accept it. So Thor and Loki decide, hey, we're gonna go visit the king of the giants, Utgarda-Loki. So we're gonna go visit this guy. You know, we're just gonna like go to his castle, see what's up. So they decide to like venture off. And as they're venturing off, like the sun's starting to set, and they're like, all right, we need to, you know, Thor's like taking his cart pulled by his two goats, and he's Getty and Freki. Is that right for his goats? No, that's wrong.
Yeah,
I forgot the name of the goats. That's not wrong?
No, I'm sorry. That is wrong.
There you go. Okay. I was like, I'm pretty certain that's wrong, but I figured I put the names out there. Whatever. So, again, I haven't read this in a month. And this first part, not in the bullet points. So, pure memory, this one.
Neither is the names of the two goats.
Yeah, almost none of the names are in this. That's fine. So they decide, like, all right, well, we're gonna, like, stop, we'll, like, have dinner, and we'll, like, chill out for the evening, right? And so while they're, while they're flying around looking for a place to stop, they see, like, come upon this, like, little farm. And so they stop at this little farm, and obviously, like, the people who live on this farm are a bit taken aback, and Thor's like, no, it's cool, we're cool. So, like, you guys can have a feast with us, and we'll, like, spend the night here, and then, like, we'll leave in the morning. He goes, like, we'll feed you, you can kill my goats, and we'll feed, and, like, just as long as you wrap the bones in their, like, hides after they're murdered, they'll be fine in the morning. Like, I'm Thor. It's cool. So they go, like, all right, no problem. So these farmers have a son and daughter. And, so they have, like, they kill the goats, and they butcher them, and they have a big feast, and they hang out and have a great time with Thor and Loki, and everything's solid gold oldies, right? And so the next morning, right, you know, they wrap up the bones in the pelts, and the next morning they wake up, and one of Thor's goats is, like, walking with a limp. And Thor's like, all right, I'm gonna smash somebody's head in. What's happening right now? And they're like, we didn't do nothing. We don't know what's going on. Well, come to find out, one of the kids broke one of the bones of the goats to get the marrow out, because bone marrow is delicious and super good for you. So he broke one of the bones, which means that when the goat healed, it didn't heal properly, so it walked with a little bit of a limp. So Thor, being highly incensed about this and very pro hammer time smashing people, was obviously enraged. And Loki was basically like, all right, what if we make like a little bit of a deal? We're going to take your kids. And the farmer and his wife were like, solid plan. Yeah, take the kids. We're good. Don't smash everything. So Thor and Loki decide to take these kids on their adventure to visit the giants. You know, like responsible caregivers. So Thor and Loki and these two kids decide to adventure off, like, into Jotunheim to try and find Utgarda-Loki's castle. And on their way through Jotunheim, they decide, like, all right, like, it's been another whole day, we need to take a nap. So they take a nap in this, like, they find this, like, big old church that's abandoned. So they decide to sleep in this, like, big old hall or church or cathedral, or it's translated, I've seen church in a couple of places, but cave. Hall, cave, like, whatever. They sleep in this, like, big, like, abandoned space. And they, like, basically, as they're sleeping, right, like, they feel this, like, earthquake happening every once in a while. They're like, what the fuck's with this earthquake? So they go outside, and they come across this, like, giant sleeping next to this hall that they're in, right? And so Thor's like, I got this, guys. So he takes Mjolnir and he like slams this giant in the head with Mjolnir. Like just the most powerful swing. Just kaplow. Slams this giant in the head. And this giant's like, oh, and wakes up. And he's just like, oh, what was that? Like an acorn fell on my head or something over there? And Thor is fucking furious. Obviously. Right? So, and it's just like, I gotta smash this giant. And the giant, basically annoyed by this acorn, like gently resting against his head, is like, all right, I'm just gonna leave, guys. Like, I'm gonna get out of here. So he leaves. In the process of leaving, he picks up what they thought was this giant hall or cave or church, but was in fact just like his coin purse. It was just like a bag. He's just like, all right, let me pick up this bag, tie it back on my waist. I'm out, guys. Bounces, right? And so they're like, oh, shit. Okay, that was crazy. We're just going to keep going. So they do this again. In fact, in some versions of the story, they stay like there's like multiple instances where they like come across another hall and they sleep again. And like he's just like, it's the same fucking giant. I know it is. I'm going to do this again. And like brings the hammer down a second time. But like even with more ferocity. And this time he's just like, what was there? Did a bird drop like a tiny rock or a pebble or something up here? What's going on? This is ridiculous. And like picks up his bag and like leaves. So Thor is obviously like had it up to here just the whole trip. He's like, this is the worst thing ever. Right? Loki probably having a good time. So they decide to like keep on going and they inevitably come across Utgard-Loki's castle. Right? And they're like, all right, hey, like, knock, 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 Utgarda-Loki, we're here to hang out. What's up? It's party time. And Utgarda-Loki is like, all right, if you want to spend the night here with us and, like, hang out and party, you gotta prove that you're, like, hardcore enough to party with us. And Thor, obviously being Thor, is just like, no, you're giants. Not only do I murder you, like, literally all the time, but also, like, I am the guy with the drinking and the partying and the rebel rousing. We got Loki here. He's a blast, obviously. We got some kids. They're probably fine. So, like, we got this, dog. And Utgarda-Loki's like, okay, let's do some tests, right? And all the giants are like, yeah, let's do some fucking tests, right? So Loki, he's like, all right, what do you want to challenge? And Loki's just like, I can eat faster than, like, anybody you ever met. I'm so fast at eating, right? And they go like, okay, we're going to set up a whole table of food, like a big runner of food, right? So they set up a big runner of food, Loki on one side, giant on the other side. Who can get to the middle first? And Loki's like mad fast at this, right? He's just fucking just shoveling it in, going to town. He looks over, giant's already done with his mile of food, right? Or his big old long thing of food. Beat him by a mile, just dominated Loki. Loki is taken aback by this. All the giants are laughing at him. Ha 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 ha. So lame, right? And they're just like, look at you guys, puny as guardians and children. So, like, obviously you can't take us. We're the best. And so the boy is like, I'm the fastest runner ever. Nobody in my whole village could run faster than me. I mean, look, obviously got kidnapped and whatever. But, like, I'm the fastest runner. I bet I could beat a giant. And Thor's just like, set up a race. Let's do this. Kid's got my back. We're homies. High five. Totally forgets about the stuff, right? And so Utgarda-Loki's like, all right, you know what? Let's do a foot race. So he sets up a foot race, right, with one of these giants, with one of the Jotnar, and they go like, all right, we're gonna have you do a foot race there and back. You know, like they set up some stuff out in the field. You run there and back, piece of cake. This kid takes off like a bat out of hell. This kid is so fast. Crazy fast. Faster than even Thor could have predicted this kid could have been. And this giant just screams past him. I mean, like the Flash, right? Just cha-chow. Back and forth. No question. Just dominated this kid, right? Kid's huffing and puffing, finishes the race. Second place. Not a winner. The giants are laughing and cajoling him again. Ah, you bloody tiny people. You can't even beat a giant in a foot race. Right? Now Thor is, like, beyond angry. And Thor's like, all right, ain't nobody can outdrink me. I'm Thor. Generally well known for imbibing in the drink. I got this, dog. And Utgarda-Loki's just like, all right, piece of cake. Look how big this giant horn is that I have. Brings out a big drinking horn. He goes, look how big this horn is. He goes, nobody can finish this horn in one gulp. Not one person. And Thor's just like, no, I'm pretty certain I can finish that in like one gulp, dog. Relax with this shit.
He's like, bet.
Yeah, right? So Utgarda-Loki dips the horn, fills it to the brim, goes like, go ahead. Thor takes the mightiest of swigs, right? Puts the horn back down, barely put a dent in the horn. Barely put a dent in it. Thor is pissed at this. The giants are laughing. He's like, well, another swig. Yeah, maybe everybody can't do it in one swig, but what about 2 swigs? Maybe 3 swigs, right? I mean, who's doing one whole swig? It's a waste of beer. I'm gonna do a couple of swigs. So he takes a second swig, even bigger than the first swig. This swig is so big. Puts the horn back down, hasn't changed. Still to the top, barely moved, right? Thor is furious with this shit. He's like, all right, you know what? Fine. Maybe the horn's too big, right? I've been drinking for like a while, so like I'm a little full or whatever, right? How about we do some lifting heavy shit? I'm real good at lifting heavy shit, got a strongness, let's rock and roll, right? So they go like, all right, hey, bring out my cat. Look at this cat. Adorable cat. Lift up my cat. That's all you gotta do. Look at me, lift up this cat, perfect cat. Lift up this cat. Thor goes like, yeah, it's a cat. I think I can lift this cat up. Gets down, goes to lift this cat up, can barely lift a paw off the ground. Like one paw comes off the ground, rest of the cat, nothing. Still there. Thor is losing his mind at this point in time. The giants are laughing at him, right? He does not understand how he is losing this fucking fight. He goes like, all right, you know what? That's it. I'm gonna fight somebody. And they're like, all right, hey, why don't we set up a wrestling match? You fight somebody. You've been talking a bad game about killing a bunch of us. So like, I mean, you got this, right? So like, you do it. Thor's like, no problem. Hammer time. So Thor, they set up a thing, like a ring. He goes like, all right, who am I fighting? And Utgarda-Loki brings out his grandma. And is like, this is my old ass grandma. Fight her. And Thor is like, all right, dog, I think that maybe I should fight one of you guys. I don't want to kill your grandma in your castle. Not a smooth move. And he's just like, hey, I mean, you know what? Listen. Try. It ain't gonna work. Try. So Thor tries to wrestle Utgarda-Loki's grandma. And Utgarda-Loki's grandma puts him on the ground. Just on the ground. Thor is furious with this shit, right? But Utgarda-Loki's like, hey, listen, I know we're laughing at you. It's hilarious that you're like kind of a baby, but you tried, so we're gonna hang out. Let's party and drink. So they party, they drink the night away. They have a great old time. They're shown their rooms. They go to sleep. The next morning, they wake up for breakfast. Utgarda-Loki asks Thor how he thinks he did in the contest last night. Like, hey, listen, I know you're upset about that. What did you think? Right? Thor, he's not happy about it. Says he did a terrible job. Utgarda-Loki tells Thor that he hopes that they never return because they're so powerful. He's just like, listen, never return. Look how powerful we are. Don't ever come back. We're the best. Right? So, as this is happening, basically, right, the castle, like, kind of disappears, right? Everything sort of, like, disappears or whatever. And Utgarda-Loki is like, all right, check this out. I was lying to you this whole last time, right? And Thor's like, I'm sorry. What did you just say? And Utgarda-Loki's like, oh, yeah. No. Listen, I've been lying to you this whole last time because, you're Thor, and we just didn't want to, like, get dead because you were, like, Thor. And Thor's like, all right, I'm going to need you to explain that as though I were 5. Like the subreddit explain it like I'm 5, Utgarda-Loki style. So Utgarda-Loki's like, hey, remember when you stumbled upon a giant sleeping and you tried to hit me in the head with a hammer? And I was just like, oh, it's like an acorn. What's happening? And Thor's just like, yes. And Utgarda-Loki's like, yeah, that actually wasn't me. I wasn't actually right there. That was a mountain that you actually hit. You turned it into a valley. Thank you for reshaping the earth for us. That's a bit much. And Thor's like, okay, was that the only thing? Did we still lose all those things? And Utgarda-Loki's like, no, hold on. I'm not done. Remember when Loki tried to out-eat, my giant friend? And Thor's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, that actually wasn't my giant friend. That was, in fact, the nature of wildfire. And Loki just couldn't out-eat wildfire in its all-consuming nature. And Thor is like, okay, what about the other competitions? And Thor's like, Utgarda-Loki's like, well, the kid, he actually raced thought itself. So, obviously, you can't outrun thought. So, he lost that. And, you know, the horn that you drank, and Thor's just like, yeah, I remember the horn of embarrassment, what is happening right now. And he's like, yeah. So the bottom of that horn is actually tied to the oceans, and you drank that shit so hard, and your gulps was so big that you lowered the ocean a little bit, and you created, like, the tides and shit with it. And Thor's like, okay, what about the cat and the old lady? And he's like, well, the cat was actually Jormungandr, the world snake, and you moved it a little bit and caused like a bunch of earthquakes everywhere, so you kind of did a little bit of devastation. And he's just like, okay, what about the old lady then? And he's like, oh, that was death. You wrestled death. And I mean, like, you took her down to a knee for like a second, but like, obviously, you can't defeat death. And Thor was like, okay, what the fuck? And Utgard-Loki was like, guess what? You guys are too powerful. Don't ever come back here again. Disappeared. Because it was all an illusion. Even the explaining was an illusion. You know, because Thor's a nightmare. And he created valleys and fought death almost to a standstill for a second. And literally drank the ocean down a little bit. And, like, moved Jormungandr a little bit. And all of those things are, like, obviously horrifying. So Thor, obviously pissed, tries to swing on Utgard-Loki as he's... right, as he's disappearing, misses because it's all an illusion, and then functionally Thor, Loki, and these two children decide, okay, that's enough adventuring for right now. We're gonna go home. And then they leave, just having been tomfooled by Utgard-Loki. End of tale. Which is arguably one of my favorite Thor tales. The time that Thor got tricked and so angry that he did a bunch of nightmare shit. Yeah. It's good. It's up there with when Thor dressed like a lady. It's the best. Thor is the best.
Yeah, we tell the story of Thor dressing like a lady in, I'm pretty sure the deep dive Thor episode.
The Thor deep dive episode, I tell the Thor dressed like a lady story. But yeah, so that's the story of Thor and Utgarda-Loki. And obviously, with all of the illusions and all that kind of stuff, you can see why they think that Utgarda-Loki might just actually be Loki playing tricks on Thor, you know, like he does. So, yeah, that's the tale of Thor and Utgarda-Loki.
Yeah. It's a good little story time. So, next we have Magic in Media, and it's been a while, so, it's been a while, but we've also been incredibly busy, so we, really only have, like, a few things to talk about. During the month of October, we only watch horror movies.
Yes.
And last night, we watched a particularly absurd movie called The Gate.
Yes.
We watched that on Shudder. We are not sponsored, so that's just a thing.
Yeah, they're just a
subscription
service
that we have.
They're an American-based subscription service for horror movies only. They do like a bunch of originals. They have a bunch of classic stuff. Really, really good subscription service. But The Gate is like a 1987 like Spielbergian style horror movie. It's where all, like, the main characters are all children and the adults almost don't exist. I mean, like, literally you see the mom and the dad for like 5 seconds and then they're like, we're leaving town. You guys are adults. Take care of yourself. Out.
Yeah.
And The Gate, functionally, like, to TLDR it, it's basically they take a tree out of the ground and the kids are like, oh, let's dig a hole where this tree is, and they dig up a rock, and this rock tells them to say some words, and they say some words, and they open a gate to hell. And demons-ish come out and try to open the rest of the gate so the, like, undefinable horrors come out.
Yeah. And in it, there's a particularly interesting piece where they're trying to, like, figure out how to put the demons back in the demon hole, basically. And they, this kid is like, oh, that's right, my dad got really into death metal. Yeah. So, like, I'm gonna pull out this album that my dad listens to. So it's, like, literally on a record. It's, like, a metal album. And the,
like, spell to seal the gates are not only, like, on the record when you play it backwards, but also, like,
there's, like,
in
a
the
book
in
that
the like
comes along
fold
with
with the record. Yeah, which is great. There's also a little bit of like witchy magic stuff. They do the standard like, can you levitate a person? This girl's just like the guy is like there's like a teen party, obviously. It's kids alone. There's a teen party.
Yeah.
And one of the guys is like telling a horror story, and they're just like, oh, that horror story's so good. Blah, who's next? And one of the girls is just like, I can levitate somebody with my mind powers. And they're like, yeah, let's do this. So they try to levitate a kid. And a teenager, and like that shit doesn't work. So then they try to levitate the like child boy who's the main character, who's like 8 or some shit.
Probably. And the child is Stephen Dorff.
Yeah, the child is Stephen Dorff, which is
from Blade,
which is interesting. I didn't know he was a child actor. But so they levitate him like a lot, not even like a little bit. They like super levitate this kid. He accidentally slams into a wall. They levitate
him in an absurd manner, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with the fizzy lifting drink.
Yeah.
This kid, like, gets levitated, and he, like, smashes into the wall and breaks a light fixture. And the kids at the party, not even fazed about this particular levitation. They're really more upset about the light fixture, which is just hilarious. And the movie's got like all practical effects.
Oh yeah, it's super like
they're trying to
effects.
Like undo like some witchcraft stuff, and they're like, I know. All we have to do is read the Bible over this hole in our yard.
Dude, and I feel like they choose like a random selection from the Bible to read. It's like a little bit of witchcraft. It's got like a little bit of like Bible stuff. It's got a little bit of like demon stuff, but like the demonology part of it is like not at all standard demons.
No, not at all.
These demons don't look nothing like demons.
And honestly, they are completely unexplained.
You know what they look like the most is like the worm aliens from Men in Black. Imagine the worm aliens from Men in Black, but instead of tall and lanky, short and fat and dumpy. But almost, other than that, exactly the same. Same number of limbs, same head shape.
It's
honestly amazing.
It was a wild ride.
Really good practical effects,
really,
too.
Yeah, really good practical effects, except for there's like a dog in it. Oh, and they use a stuffed animal.
The stuffed animal they use to replace the like the actual dog when it's dog acting is awful. It's an awful stuffed animal, and the actors seem to not be aware of the fact that they're supposed to be pretending that it's a real dog.
Yeah.
So it's like a little disrespected as a stuffed animal.
Yeah. The whole movie, we were just like, how does this keep getting weirder? And then it keeps getting weirder. Yeah. It is
not
like
an
scary.
Hour and 10 minutes or 20 minutes or
it is not scary at all.
Oh,
it's more of like a Gremlins-y Army of Darkness level, but it's not self-aware enough to be doing this on purpose.
Yeah, it's a lot like Gremlins. I mean, it's there's a reason why they're calling it Speilbergian in nature. You know, it's very like it's sort of like thriller and spoopy, but it's not like scary or horror in like a pure sense in my mind. But it was super good.
It was very fun.
It was super fun. If you're looking for like an 80s thing, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And then we also, when it was in theaters, and I know it was a long time ago, we watched Thor Love and Thunder. It's fantastic. We have a bunch of opinions about it. It's out on Disney Plus now, so we'll have to rewatch it before we like get into it here. But suffice it to say, we could do a whole ass podcast episode just on the like 10 minutes of like, welcome to God City. Here's a pan shot of they're just like, look at all these gods. Pan shot, right? Just like in that Ragnarok anime, when they just like pan shot a bunch of gods, and you're just like, my brain, I know too many gods. Like, it was just there's so much to take in, both new shit and classic shit. But it's a great movie if you haven't seen it, and if you have seen it, what's your favorite part of Thor Love and Thunder? And if you've seen Gate, what did you think about it? We loved it. If you haven't seen Gate and you have Shudder, which I know a lot of people don't because a lot of people aren't horror people, but if
you are a horror person,
highly recommend. Shudder has a fantastic lineup. They have great stuff, both like movies and shows. They have a bunch of originals. There's documentaries.
The originals are generally fantastic.
Oh, they're amazing.
There's a lot of like BIPOC horror on there as well. So there's a lot of horror from not the United States.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of foreign horror. There's a lot of BIPOC horror. One. There's a lot of they have a whole documentary on like the LGBTQI plus like thing in horror, like how that has like revolutionized horror, as well as like movies and shows that specifically address horror but with like LGBT characters and such like that. So it's really, really cool. It's such a cool streaming service, and like everything they do is like super up and up. They have like channels where you don't have to like choose what you want to watch. They just like run through like themed setups for like a week. They have
I watch those a lot, and I've discovered a lot of really, really great stuff.
Oh yeah, absolute
that I would
bangers.
Not necessarily have chosen to watch otherwise.
Oh yeah. You know, definitely. So, there are definitely some where you're just like, I don't know if I want to watch this. Well, and then like slam cut to 10 minutes later, and you're just like, what is this? Did that person just do this? Can you believe? And we're just like,
then like slam cut to a couple hours later, and you come home from work, and I'm like, we have to watch
we're rewatching this right now, you know? So, yeah, it's a really cool show. Streaming service. They also have who's the guy who hosts those like
it's like Billy Joe Bob or something.
Yeah, like Billy Joe Bob. It's like it's very like Mystery Science Theater 3000-esque, but not with the like dudes beneath commenting during.
It's more like having a host that like talks about the movie before and then during an intermission and then at the end.
Yeah, if you're old enough to remember going to a movie theater to watch several schlocky movies on one ticket, and there's like a host like making jokes and talking about the history of it, or talking about like facts or things like that, which was like a popular thing in the 80s and like early 90s. So it's sort of like that. It's all of his hosted series are amazing.
Yeah.
And he has like a bunch of guest stars and shit like that. So it's a really cool series, streaming service. I know we're just like touting this and we're not sponsored, but like if you're into horror, you're going to enjoy it.
And we're only a few days into the month of October, so we are
mostly
like,
if everybody else knows about horror, if you are out there and you have a horror movie that you suggest that you want to suggest us to watch, let us know. We are always looking for new horror movies. Obviously, we rewatch a ton of movies because our rule during October is, other than the like 4 or 5 things that we're watching week to week as like streaming, like Star Trek and like She-Hulk and
wrestling.
Rings of Power and wrestling.
There's so many TV shows now.
Except for those things, which really, I mean, it's like one show, each a week. All we watch is horror, whether it's horror TV, horror movies.
We only listen to horror books on Audible.
Yeah, we only listen to horror books on Audible, and we really try and make this season as spooky as possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you have a suggestion for a horror movie, let us know. If you want to know our opinion on your favorite horror movie, leave it below, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Because we'll probably end up doing a, like, horror movie special or wrap-up or something like that towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
We used to do, like, very regular horror movie reviews during this month, but that is exhausting.
It's a lot.
It's so much work, and I'm not dialed in for that right now. But either way, that's Thor: Love and Thunder and The Gate and Magic in Media. Let us know if you have any media that got magic in and you want us to look at. Horror related, it's October.
Or Christmas related as we get into the holiday season.
Oh god, yeah, I love. There's so many good Christmas movies that are like vaguely magic related.
Yeah,
especially Christmas horror movies. I love all the Christmas horror movies.
Yeah,
because we're big horror fans. So anywho, moving right along, I would like to thank our patrons, Alan, Miranda, Alexa, Helena, and Adrian. You guys are awesome. And speaking of Patreon, if you would like to support us in doing what we're doing, our patrons help us improve regularly in what we're doing and how we're doing it, as well as gain access to the Book of Shadows pages and like cell phone backgrounds. And we have like a chat You can like chat with us and stuff like that. Hit us up on Patreon. We're Nerd Jive on Patreon.
Yeah.
Next episodes is Samhain 102.
Yep.
And if we can squeeze a little bit more in there before Samhain, we will.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens with that. And then obviously Pub Chat episode number 13, which we don't have a question for yet. So submit your questions. Let us know what you want us to talk about. If you have any magical questions, if you have a particular story that you would like to know more about, we can always tell a story or something like that, and we can just go from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, piece of cake. Piece of cake. This has been a long one because the way I tell stories is roundabout and insane. Like me. About round and vaguely insane. So, either way, I have been Jonathan Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. This has been The Horn.
And Cauldron.
Podcast. Pub Chat. And we will catch you guys next time. Thank you for listening. And, don't forget, stay magical, folks.
Yeah, and don't forget to breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.